Much. If you are in third grade or below, not mentally, actually, third grade or below, I need you to come to the platform. Third grade or below. Come on, parents, help your kids know what grade they're in. Third grade or below. Hurry, hurry, hurry. Third grade or below, come to the platform. Hurry. Switch me to this one, brother. All right, I want you to sit on the rug facing that chair right there. Sit on the rug, story time. Sit on the rug, hurry, hurry. Third grade and below, here they finally are trickling up. Now, I just know that I'm going to have some adults upset that they don't get to see the pictures. So you're just going to have to try. Maybe you can zoom in on the camera on the book so that the guys can see the pictures. I know that they're going to want to see that. Hang tight now. This could be life-altering for you. Let me have room to sit here. Back up, back up. I got to sit down. All right, turn this way so you can see. Everybody see? Can you see? Here we go. Once upon a time, there were 3 little pigs. 2 of the pigs were lazy and a little bit silly, but the third was hard-working and smart. All 3 little pigs lived with their mother until the day came when they were old enough to leave home. Before they left, their mother said, "Now be sure to build strong houses and watch out for the big, bad wolf. He is always hungry and he likes to eat little piggies like you." The 3 little pigs walked down the road until they met a man carrying a bundle of straw. The first little pig, who was lazy and a little bit silly, asked the man for some straw and quickly built himself a flippy-floppy straw house. The other 2 little pigs continued along the road until they met a man carrying a pile of sticks. The second little pig, who was also lazy and a little bit silly, asked the man for some sticks and quickly built himself a rickety house. But the third little pig continued on his own until he met a man carrying a load of bricks. This little pig, who was hard-working and smart, asked the man for some bricks and labored long and hard to build himself a fine, strong house. One day, the first little pig was sitting outside his flippy-floppy house of straw when he saw the big bad wolf walking down the road. Oh, the little pig quickly ran inside his house and slammed the door. Little pig, let me come in," growled the hungry wolf. "No, not by the hair of my chinny chin," squealed the first little pig, hiding. "Then I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house down," cried the wolf. So he huffed, and he puffed, and he blew the house down. But before the wolf could pounce, the first little pig jumped up and ran as fast as his little legs would carry him to the second little pig's house made of sticks. Of course, the big bad wolf was still hungry, so he marched on until he came to the rickety house of sticks. He knocked on the door and shouted through the mail slot, little pigs, let me come in." "No, not by the hairs on our chinny chins," replied the 2 little pigs, who were hiding in the bed. "Then I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house down," cried the wolf. Then he huffed, and he puffed, and he blew the house down. "Help!" squealed the 2 little pigs, and they ran to the third little pig's house of bricks as fast as their legs could carry them. The big bad wolf's tummy was rumbling by now, so he ran down the lane after them until he came to the fine, strong house of bricks. He knocked on the door and shouted loudly, little pigs, let me come in." "No, not by the hairs on our chinny chins," replied the 3 little pigs. "Then I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house down," cried the wolf. So he huffed, and he puffed, and he puffed, and he huffed. But the fine, strong house of bricks did not fall down. The wolf was furious. "I'm going to climb down your chimney and gobble you up," he roared. The third little pig was very scared. But he was also very smart, too, and he knew just what to do. He put a huge pot of water on the fire to boil and waited. The big bad wolf licked his lips and chuckled as he clambered up onto the roof and slid down the chimney. But he was soon stopping his chuckling when he landed with a splash in the big pot of boiling hot water. "Ah!" he wailed as he leaped into the air and raced away as fast as his paws could carry him. And that was the last anyone ever heard of the big bad wolf. All right, go back to your seats. You did a great job. Give him a round of applause, everybody. Now, Brother Bachman, why on earth would we come to church and hear a story of the 3 little pigs? Because that's the only way I'll keep your attention. I know this, at least when you go home, you'll remember something from the message. Have you ever had on the way home that discussion with your kids? "Hey, what'd you learn about in church today?" Jesus? Well, now you'll at least remember about the 3 little pigs. Many years ago, I was sitting at my desk at my house doing some work, and my wife was reading that story to our son Ryan. He was just maybe about 5 or 6 years old, I believe. And I was trying to work and I was trying to concentrate, but I'm a little easily distracted. And so I was kind of half working and half listening to the story. It was an exciting story. I turned around and I gave up on the work and I crossed my arms and I listened to my wife read the 3 little pigs to my son. She thought she was doing a great job reading because she'd enraptured my attention too. But it was becoming a message idea. And when she got done, I said, "Read it again." She looked at me and she said, "Are you serious?" I said, "Yes, but go slowly. I'm taking notes." And she read it again, and I wrote down some notes. Over the years, I developed those notes, and the message tonight is a result of that, the 3 little Christians. You see, there is a big bad wolf in your life and my life too. The Bible tells us that we have an adversary. His whole goal is to devour us, to wipe us out. And what we just read in the Bible at the beginning was that we are God's building. We are also the ones that get to choose the building materials with which we build our Christian lives. And therefore, I think it's wise for us to be the smart kind of builder as we are forming this building of the Christian life. Here in the passage that we read, we saw that some choose wood, hay, and stubble, just like a few of those little pigs. But others, they choose some different kinds of materials. They use the gold and the silver and the precious stones, like that 3rd little pig. You might not think it's a really big deal. You might not think that how you build your building or the materials that you use for your building is really all that important. After all, as long as you have some kind of a Christian life structure, as long as you have something that you can put out and everybody can come by and see, oh, apparently you're a Christian, you got your nameplate on the door and you got your specific address that you go to in your Christian life. But I will inform you that there is a day coming that the devil is going to huff and puff and blow on your house. I will inform you that the storms of life will come and blow on your house. I will inform you that sometimes even God will put you through trials in life that test the strength of your Christian structure. And just like in the little story we read up here on the platform, I would venture to say that we can find the same categories of Christians and the structures they have made, just like those three little pigs. In the passage that we're in there, in chapter 3 and verse 12, it said, "Now if any man build upon this foundation gold, silver, precious stones, wood," and then the last two words, "hay and stubble." I would submit to you tonight that first of all, maybe even in this room, there are straw Christians. These Christians have a Christian life. In fact, they are saved. But truly the structure of their Christianity, the stability of their lives as a Christian, in most cases is nothing more than just a weak facade. From the distance, it looks like a Christian, but you know that under the shell, there's nothing substantial there. Yes, they may be saved, but there's nothing that gives them stability past that salvation. Just like the first little pig in our story, I think partially the reason is because they too are lazy. They too are silly. They think that they can put no work into building their Christian life, and everything will be okay. They have deceived themselves into believing that as long as it looks good on the outside, as long as they have some spiritual shade and some spiritual shelter, it really is not worth it to put in the effort and the time and the labor and the cost to build a strong structure in their life. They are a straw Christian. How do you know a straw Christian? Well, they do go to church, maybe Sunday mornings, but they're kind of making a week-by-week decision about should we go on a Sunday night, or should we go on a Wednesday night, or should we go to Sunday school? I mean, after all, it kind of is based on if I feel okay. It's based on if the weather's nice outside or not. It's based on whether or not I got relatives in from out of town, or if I'm caught up on my chores, or if there's anything good to watch on television. If the gas prices don't get too high, we might go, or if I'm not too tired, I might go, but there's no stability there. There's no consistency there. There's no dedication there. They're a straw Christian. They carry a Bible to church, but they seldom read it through the week. They stand during the singing, but there is no song in their heart. They have no walk with God. They have no personal devotions. They have no prayer life. You spend most of their time in church looking at the floor or looking at their watch or looking at the people, but certainly not listening to the Holy Spirit. They don't go soul winning, but they're part of a soul winning church. They don't come to other church functions like revivals or activities or conferences or special services. Unless there's a picnic or a ball game, they probably won't be here. They gossip. They criticize. They complain about the church. They complain about the preacher, the staff, the deacons, the school, the other church members, the standards, and the weaker Christians than them, if there are any. They only have 2 or 3 families that they talk to when they come to church. The rest of the church membership, and certainly visitors, they pretty much just ignore. They dress decently at church, but not at home. They get easily offended at people and at preaching. They never or seldom go forward at an invitation. They won't get involved in a ministry. They don't consistently tithe, though they did put $5 in the plate once when a missionary came through. They're just straw Christians. Why? Because they're more interested in the things of the world. They don't want to get fanatical about this thing of God or church. Getting saved, that was easy. They were willing to do that, but you see, building a strong Christian life is way too much work. They're satisfied just throwing up a quick makeshift shelter that costs them little time, little effort, little money, little dedication. Yes, they're going to heaven, but just by the hair of their chinny chin chin. The devil knows what they are and who they are, and he's not fooled by their weakness or apathy. He knows that they are easy prey, and it will take but just a couple huffs and a couple puffs, and he can blow them out of the saddle. It doesn't take much, and they'll quickly become bitter at the preacher, or bitter at church, or not really happy with God. There's nothing really to their Christianity. It's just a bunch of straw. And when they get upset, the devil goes to work on them. They run to some other Christian not stronger than they and spout their displeasure and dissension. The smallest amount of wind from the devil can knock them off their feet spiritually and send them into a tizzy because they have no spiritual foundation. They have no structure. They have no stability. They have bouts of faithfulness, but they're followed by droughts of faithfulness. There are days that they're on top of the world spiritually, but most of the days they're living in the world and under the world. They want to be a convenient Christian with a non-invasive Christianity. They'd be in favor of drive-through church if we offered it. They'd probably sign up for automated phone prayers, and they'd only take Christmas offerings real well. They don't want to put in work or effort or toil or time or tears to real Christianity. Having private devotions at home is a little overboard. Having a prayer closet sounds awful boring. Soul winning, that's the preacher's job. And having personal standards and dressing modestly has taken this whole church thing way too far. Preacher, don't preach too loud and don't preach too hard. You might mess up my straw life because it really can't take much turbulence. When I come to church, just make me feel good. When I come to church, just compliment how good my straw looks. When I come to church, don't cause any waves or any wind. I just want to be comfortable. I want to say I'm a Baptist, but soothe my conscience. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to change anything. I don't want to pay anything. I don't want to miss out on anything I think the world might have to offer while I live comfortably in my little, weak, straw Christian life. My friend, if that's you tonight, you're not fooling God. And you're not fooling the devil. Can I say you're probably not even doing a real good job at fooling yourself? The devil knows your number, and it'll only be a matter of time until he huffs and he puffs. And so many Christians with that straw structure that at one point sat where you sat, in pews like you're in a church like we're in, have just gone because they couldn't take the turbulence of life. God says they're immature. God says they're still children. He tells us in Ephesians 4:14 that we henceforth be no more children tossed to and fro and carried about with every wind of doctrine, whereby the sleight of men and cunning craftiness lay in wait to deceive. So many Christians couldn't take even the slightest bit of trial of their faith or of their life, because the truth of the matter is they were nothing but a straw Christian. That same verse that we're in chapter 3 and verse 12 talks about another group of people that these are building, they are our God's building, and they've chosen these certain ingredients or these certain materials to use as not only the building itself, but the builder. These that upon that foundation, which is Jesus Christ, have used gold, silver, precious stones, and then it says wood. Well, what do you know? In our story of the 3 little pigs, there was such a person. That second little pig decided he would build his house of sticks. Like that second little pig, many a Christian living a half-hearted, do what is required kind of Christian life is what we would call the stick Christian. Like that second little pig, also probably a little lazy and maybe a little silly to think that somehow just because his stick structure is better than that straw structure, that he will be able to sustain what life throws at him. But can I tell you that if you're a stick Christian, it will not hold up to what the devil or life or maybe even God will bring your way. Just because your brother, who was a straw Christian, came running your way when his house blew in, don't take too much comfort in your stick Christian life. You see, this stick Christian, they do come to 2 or 3 services a week, but they don't pay much attention while they're here. They get involved in some ministry, but they're not very thrilled with it. They're doing it because they feel it is their duty to do. They pass out a few tracts a year and soothe their conscience that they are a witness. They read a chapter or so in their Bible in the morning time at a very fast pace. They pray in general for the church, for the missionaries, and for their food. They'll do what they're pressured into, but they seldom volunteer. They come forward occasionally, but nothing changes because they don't keep decisions very long. They pick and choose what church functions they'll attend based on whether or not they think it's fun or interesting or convenient. They base their opinion of spirituality on how much better they are than the world or some other Christian in the church instead of how close they are to Jesus Christ. They agree to live by the church's or the pastor's standards, but the truth of the matter is they have very few, if any, of their own Bible standards. They enjoy preaching as long as it's entertaining, not too long, not too loud, and not too specific. They tithe more often than not, as long as there's still money in the checking account and they see no unexpected or pressing financial matters upcoming. They're a stick Christian. Better than the straw Christian? Oh, yes. But still not stable. This Christian recognizes and advertises that they're better than the straw brother or sister, and may even have a church regular part of routine and schedule. But you're usually not faithful, but even when you're faithful, you're not fruitful. They're here, but they're not happy. They're in, but they're not involved. They consider themselves loyal, but they're sure not loving it. You have to put some time, you see, into building your work of a stick structure. More time than that of straw, and more stable than that of their brother or their sister that had the straw structure. And yet there are many visible cracks in their stick Christian life. There are cracks in their walk with God. There are cracks in their marriage, cracks in their service, cracks in their soul winning, cracks in their effort, cracks in their joy, cracks in their enthusiasm, cracks in their hunger for the things of God. They've paid a higher price and given more energy to building that structure than the straw Christian did, but they're still a long ways away from being steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord. You see, they have the assurance of their salvation, but they've lost the joy of their salvation. They have no doubt, but they got a lot of pout. You sure God will give you a crown in heaven for enduring the Christian life? Because that's their hope. And one day they'll stand before God and He'll say, well, you hung in there. You didn't quit. I know you didn't do much and you certainly didn't enjoy it, but at least you had that stick structure. They follow most of God's laws, but they find His commandments to be grievous. You too are not hiding your weakness from the devil. He will huff and he'll puff in your life and soon blow apart what little spiritual stability you have. Though it may take more time and effort on the part than that of the straw Christian, your days are numbered. And you may even stay in church when he blows your way, so much so that you die here. As a matter of fact, you got a good head start because your joy died a long time ago. Your testimony and your fruitfulness for Christ will soon come crashing down all around you, and you'll find yourself running to a stronger Christian to seek some shelter from the wiles of the devil. For both the straw Christian and the stick Christian, you struggle with victory over personal sin. Why? Because the devil's not fleeing from you. You're spending your energy fleeing from the devil. Because you have no strong spiritual house. We come to the third and the final of the three little Christians, the brick Christian. In the passage we read, he said that these have their structure built, the things that they have chosen to use, or the ingredients, here gold, silver, and precious stones. In 1 Kings chapter 5, it says, and the king commanded, and they brought great stones, costly stones, and huge stones to lay the foundation of the house. In Isaiah 28 and 16, therefore thus saith the Lord God, behold, I lay in Zion for a foundation, a stone, tried stone, a precious cornerstone, a sure foundation. In 1 Peter 2 and 5, it says, ye also are lively stones, are built up in spiritual house and a holy priesthood. You see, it's your choice. Just like those three little pigs had a choice as to what materials they would use and how much effort they would put in to the building of their structure, God said, you are God's building, but then he also said, now you are the one that's doing the work to build on the foundation of Jesus Christ. And you can choose what materials you use. Certainly we would know that Satan found out that Job was not a straw Christian or even a stick Christian. Though the big bad devil huffed and he puffed and he blew everything that Job had away, Job was a brick Christian that could endure even the most difficult, trying, and vicious winds the devil could bring his way. Why? Because long before the devil ever showed up, Job's life was spent with time and work and effort and tears building a strong structure on a solid foundation. You see, it wasn't when the devil showed up he decided, I better put a strong foundation and a strong house together. Before the devil ever came to Job, it was God that looked down at Job's life, yea, Job's house, yea, Job's structure, and said to Satan, have you considered my servant Job? Have you taken into account the fact that Job is a perfect and upright man, one that eschews evil and fears God? You see, he'd already put in the time, he'd already put in the labor, he'd already put in the effort, he'd already put in much of every day, making sure that his foundation was strong and his structure was strong, so that when the devil came, he was able to endure. Precept must be upon precept, line upon line, here a little, there a little. You see, you don't become a strong Christian. You don't become a stable Christian. You don't become a brick Christian overnight. That straw Christianity, man, you can put it up fast, but it falls down fast too. You see, the stick Christianity, you can do it in a few weeks, you can do it in a couple months, and you can make it look nice to the visual eye of those around you, but I'm telling you, when the devil comes and he blows on your structure, even a stick house is no match, and it will come down. But if you decide, hey, precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little, there a little, every day I'm going to put in what it takes to build a strong brick house to be able to endure what God or the devil or life brings my way, you don't have to be blown away. But it, like our story, requires you to be hardworking and smart, like the third little pig. You see, a brick Christian is here for every service, every function, and every activity. Not just out of duty, but because they want to. The brick Christian, we can count on you, not just to be at a soul-winning meeting, but to actually tell people the gospel when we leave the meeting. The brick Christian reads their Bible daily with interest and finds things that God has to help build their life day by day. The brick Christian practices faithful, earnest prayer and sees God answer those prayers. The brick Christian dresses to please God every day of the week, in every situation, not just when they're around the church folk. The brick Christian listens to godly, heart-stirring, Christ-honoring music because he knows it helps to strengthen his life against what the world brings against it. They serve in a ministry faithfully and joyfully, looking forward to it all week long. They serve the Lord with gladness. They give tithes and offerings without hesitation. They love preaching and stay moldable and pliable to the Word of God. They like everybody at church, even the ones that are hard to like. They have a heart for reaching the world and give and pray and witness to play a personal role in that being accomplished. They're not satisfied with what they are as a Christian or the amount of Bible they know. They're always seeking higher ground. Even on vacation, they're in church. Even on vacation, they still read their Bible. They're on their knees and they're passing out tracts because, you see, we are God's building. This is not just what they have, this is what they are. They're a brick Christian, no matter where they go. When people come to complain to the brick Christian, it only takes one time and they find out they're not interested in hearing their gossip, and so seldom do they have them return. They're asked personally to pray for others in the midst of their crisis situations because they know they have a walk with God. They still believe that sin is sinful and that wrong is wrong and that right is right, and God would attest that they hate iniquity. Every week they're working. Every day they're striving. Every month they're making sure that they're making a change to become more like the Lord and add another layer to their house. If they could arrange the perfect week, it would be 7 Sundays in a row. And to the brick Christian, heaven's sounding sweeter all the time. Not because they're trying to get out of this mess, but because they're getting closer to the Lord. Be assured, the devil will still attempt to blow on the lives of the brick Christian. Check out Abraham and Joseph and Moses and Joshua and Elisha and Job and Daniel, and even Jesus in the wilderness had the big bad wolf show up and try to blow away his structure. And if they'll do it to them, they'll find your neighborhood and your street and your house and your address and your life. And the devil will huff and he'll puff and he'll blow on your house too. I wonder, are you prepared for his arrival or return? Another passage of Scripture, you don't have to turn to it, I'll remind you of it. In Matthew 7 says, "Therefore whosoever heareth these sayings of mine and doeth them, I will liken them unto a wise man, which built his house on a rock. And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat upon that house, and it fell not, for it was founded on a rock. And everyone that heareth these sayings of mine and doeth them not shall be likened unto a foolish man, which built his house upon the sand, and the rains descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat upon that house. And it fell, and great was the fall of it." In that passage, may I point out that the storm came to both men? May I point out that the wind blew on both men, and the rain fell on both men, and the floods came on both men, and one had their whole life blown apart, and the other stood firm. And the storm came to Joseph, but he was not blown away. And the storm came to Job, but he was not blown away. And the storm came to Daniel, but he was not blown away. And the storm came to the Apostle John, but he was not blown away. And the storm came to Jesus, but he was not blown away. You see, it is in the storms and in the trials and in the fires that it is revealing what sort we are, as we read in our text. Are we made of wood, hay, and stubble? Or is our foundation of stone, rock, and bricks? It is the brick Christian that the straw Christian and the stick Christian run to for help, for strength, and for stability, and for answers when their storms come into their life to keep from falling apart. I say it's time that we haul away the stubble and the hay, not settle for the sticks or the branches. Let's start tonight, line upon line, precept upon precept, message by message, prayer by prayer, Bible chapter by Bible chapter, service by service, invitation by invitation, decision by decision, here a little, there a little, building our house, building our life, building our walk with God, building our Christianity. Decide tonight, I'm tired of the facade. I'm sick of the hypocrisy. I'm dissatisfied with my own spiritual weakness. I'm fed up with the emptiness and the apathy. I'm done with the shallowness and the instability. I will prepare for the storms of life and the attacks of Satan. I'll begin doing what it takes to become a brick Christian. If I have to get up to read my Bible a little bit earlier and place another brick on my wall, I'll do it. If I have to stay up a little later to pray and get a hold of God and put another brick on my wall, I'll do it. If I have to put aside my own desire to just relax instead of go out sowing and tell others about Christ, I want another brick on my wall, so I'll do it. Brick by brick, row by row, precept by precept, building my life to stay firm when the devil tries to blow my house down. Yes, it will take time and work and patience and consistency and self-denial and determination. But I will no longer be satisfied even with one wall of my house being made of straw or of sticks. Hey, Christian, I'll let you know the trials are coming. One thing I can guarantee of, the testing is coming. The storm is coming. The rain is coming. The floods are coming. The fire is coming. The big bad wolf is coming. How will your spiritual structure fare when it shows up? It is then that we'll see what you're really made of. The key verse from our passage, I'll read it one last time. Every man's work shall be made manifest. You're not getting out of this life, and certainly not into the next life, without the testing of your structure happening. There will be a fire both here and there that will prove of what sort we are. I wonder if you let God be the building inspector and come push, come bang, come kick on your structure, is any part of your Christian life just a straw Christian? Is there even a portion of your building that's a stick Christian? Or would God walk around and say, good night, I think it's all strong brick Christianity? If the devil showed up tomorrow at your door with the same opportunity as he had for Job, and he huffed and he puffed and he puffed and he huffed, could he blow your house down? Or would you be inside the safety of a strong Christian life and you would say, when he's tried me, I'm going to come forth as gold. Let the devil be the one to run out of oxygen and run away. You stay strong in your brick house. Now, I'll tell you tonight, if you've got an area that's straw or you've got an area that's brick, one trip to the altar is not going to take care of it. That's just a decision to start building the right way. It's going to be day by day, line by line, precept by precept, here a little, there a little. My dear friend, I can promise you there'll be a day you're going to need it.